Hey, Vestal families and kiddos. Good morning. This is Miss Flamo. Happy Monday. I have a story today that connects with our Vestal value of the month, which is courage. Can you say the word courage with me? Courage. Awesome. And courage means, there's a couple definitions, but really what it means is that you choose to persevere even when something is hard, or you choose to keep going even when something is hard. And sometimes that means having courage by what you say or what you do or the actions that you take. Local action takes a lot of courage. We've seen a lot of examples of that at Vestal. Today, I'm going to read a story that I have a feeling some of you have heard before, but I'm wondering if you've heard it in a way that makes you think about courage. This is a book I've certainly read a couple times before to myself and to different classes. It's called Koala Lou. Give me a thumbs up if you've heard this story. Okay. As you listen, whether it's your first time or your fifth time or your 10th time, or you can't even tell anymore because you've heard it so many times, I want you to think how Koala Lou shows courage, how she perseveres even when things are hard. And then we'll talk about it a little bit at the end. Koala Lou by Mem Fox, illustrated by Pamela Lofts. And I love the illustrations in this book. They're so cute. Look at koala. Koala with running shoes. There once, let's see if I can hold this in a way you can see it. There once was a baby koala so soft and round that all who saw her loved her. Her name was Koala Lou. I know the lighting is not awesome here in my basement. The emu loved her. The platypus loved her. Oh, look behind the book. There's my platypus friends. And even little Koala Claus next door loved her. I don't know if that's what an emu looks like when they're super happy. But her mother was the one who loved her most of all. 100 times a day, she would laugh and shake her head and say, "Koala Lou, I do love you." Whenever she stretched in the early morning sun or climbed a gum tree or bravely went down the path all by herself, her mother would smile and say, "Koala Lou, I do love you." And I'm sorry, the lighting is not quite as good as I thought it was going to be down here. Thank you for having patience with me. The years passed and other koalas were born, brothers and sisters for Koala Lou. Soon her mother was so busy, she didn't have time to tell Koala Lou that she loved her, although, of course, she did. Wonder what this has to do with courage. Every night, as she curled up under the stars, Koala Lou thought about all the times when her mother had looked at her and said, "Koala Lou, I do love you." And she longed for her to say it again. One night, Koala Lou had a splendid idea. Preparations had begun for the Bush Olympics. She would enter the Olympics. She would compete in the gum tree climbing event, and she would win, and her mother would fling her arms around her neck and say, "Koala Lou, I do love you." So Koala Lou began her training right away. She jogged and puffed and lifted weights and panted. She hung from a branch with one claw at a time until it ached. She did push-ups until her stomach hurt. And last of all, she climbed the tallest tree that she could ever find over and over again. So she is preparing for the Bush Olympics. Sometimes her mother would watch her and say, "How you going, Blossom?" "Fine, just fine," Koala Lou would reply. I wonder if her mom knows what she's training for. Her mom looks busy. She's got a couple new koalas. At last, the day of the Bush Olympics arrived. Hopefully you can see this very fun picture. It looks like lots of people are attending the Bush Olympics, and it looks like something that many people wear fancy hats for. Well, Koala Claus had also entered the gum tree climbing event, and everyone knew how fast she was. But Koala Lou was not scared. She saw her mother in the crowd and imagined her saying again, "Koala Lou, I do love you." her heart filled with hope. It was Koala Claus who went first. Her climb was a record-breaking 22 meters in 70 seconds flat. The spectators whistled and cheered and wildly waved their party hats. Oh, I knew those party hats had to have a purpose. Can I do better than that? Wondered Koala Lou. Oh, I must. As she stepped toward the tree, a hush fell over the crowd. On your mark, said the kookaburra. Get set, go. Now, what do you think courage has to do with this moment? Koala Lou leapt onto the tree. Up and up and up she climbed, higher and higher and higher, faster and faster and faster, until there she was, right at the top. The spectators roared and clapped and stamped their feet. They all looked very excited. But she wasn't fast enough, in spite of all of her training and all of her hoping. It was Koala Claus who won the gum tree climbing. Koala Lou came in second. Koala Lou went off and hid. She heard the shouts of the Bush Olympics and cried her heart out. When the first stars of the evening appeared in the sky, Koala Lou crept home through the dark and up into the gum tree. Her mother was waiting for her. Before she could say a word, her mother flung her arms around her neck and said, Koala Lou, I do love you. I always have, and I always will. And she hugged her for a very long time. I love her little running shoes are tied off to the side here. So I think that this story has a lot to do with courage. Koala Lou shows courage in a lot of different situations. And sometimes I think we forget that courage really needs to happen when things don't quite go the way you're hoping. She obviously was really hoping to win at the Bush Olympics, and she came in second. And then she felt sad for a little while and ended up going home. And of course, her mom gave her that big, huge hug and told her that she loved her. And I have a pretty certain feeling that Koala Lou probably got up the next day and kept on training because she had the courage to keep going, even when things didn't quite go her way. So I hope you enjoyed the story, Koala Lou. I hope you enjoyed my platypus friends that joined me. I didn't even plan that. I kind of like the way that happened. And I hope to see you guys soon. Bye-bye.